Hey everyone, welcome to the Ingles table. I'm Scott Culpepper, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make my delicious red wine poached pears with mascarpone cheese. I got everything I need from my local Ingles, so let's get started. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, this is serving for 4 pears. I'm going to get my oven stove going. I'm going to start with 1 full bottle of red wine. It could be your wine of your choosing, Cabernet, Merlot, whatever. If you don't like wine, you can find a non-alcoholic source, of course. But to the red wine, I'm going to add 1 stick of cinnamon. I have 3 whole black peppercorns, but what I like to do is just give them a little crush to open them up, so you do get that little bit of that flavoring through. And then I like to use the cloves and make sure there's 3 cloves to this. Just make sure that they have the little bulb on top. So I'm going to put those in there also. I have about 3 tablespoons of honey. I'm just going to eyeball that. I don't think you can have too much honey. There we go. I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar. And then I normally use a full vanilla bean, but vanilla beans are kind of hard to find right now, so I did find a substitute, which is great. It's a vanilla bean paste. So 1 tablespoon of the paste is the equivalent to 1 full vanilla bean. And the good thing about this, it still has all the nice little beans in there. So I'm going to take the juice of a half a lemon. What I like to do is just kind of gently press out the lemon to loosen it up inside. And then I cut the ends off because that allows me to get more of the juice out of the lemon when I squeeze it. So I'm just going to use the juice of half a lemon. Ooh, like that. And also, with both ends cut, you can flip it over and maximize the amount of juice you squeeze out of it. See that? That's nice. So. And then I'm going to take about a 2-inch peel of orange zest. So on the orange zest, I just want to get the top layer of the skin where all of the essential oils are. You don't want any of that white pith. It's going to make it kind of sour a little bit. But so I'm just going to squeeze this, put it in there, and then we'll give it a good mix just to dissolve the sugar. So we don't want this on high heat. Once we get it up to simmering, we're just going to let it simmer to get all those flavors coming together. So while that's going, I'm going to go ahead. I have 4 pears. You can use any kind of pear you want. The more ripe they are, the less time you're going to have to cook them. So pear type is not really that important. So I'm going to cut the top and the bottom off, but I'm going to keep the top, and I'll show you that in a minute. So you want to just cut the pear so that it sits upright for presentation. That will come together in just a second. I'm going to cut all pears the same. And these are great holiday dessert because the flavors of the holidays, the orange, the cinnamon, the clove. So I'm going to peel each pear. You don't have to get all the skin, but what you're going to do is, with the skin being removed, the red wine is going to dye the pears, and it's going to make this brilliant scarlet red color. This is one of my favorite desserts to make, especially around Christmas time. The sauce from the wine gets kind of like a syrupy consistency, and then the flavor of the clove and the pepper all come together. So it's a little time consuming. I don't like to peel the pears until I'm right ready to use them. just because they're kind of like an apple. They're gonna turn brown unless you squirt some citrus on them to hold them. So once all the pears are, you can use fruit fresh on this too. That will help them stay white, but I like to use them pretty quickly. The first time I made these for my grandmother, she's never, I don't know what a poached pear is. I'm like, well, we're gonna find out, and then she loved it. So now every time I go home around the holidays, I have to make these for my grandmother. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take an apple core, and I'm just gonna try my best to line up the core of the pear, and I'm just gonna slowly cut that center out. Because what we're gonna do with that is where we are going to pipe in the mascarpone cheese filling. Ooh, these are nice and juicy, pretty ripe. So on the pears, cooking time, it's about 30 minutes. And what I like to do is, if the pears are still pretty not so ripe, then I like to put them in the pot, simmer them, and turn them every 10 minutes. That way we get a pretty equal coloring on both sides of the pear. Sometimes when you set them in there, they're gonna wanna float and turn over. That's fine. Just keep an eye on it. Just try and keep them as upright as possible. So we have the red wine mixture coming to a simmer now. So I like to use a slotted spoon and just kind of set the pears down in there. And I don't know if you can see this, but I'm setting them down into the wine sauce just as you see them sitting right here. So once we put the pears in the saucepan, obviously because they're kind of cooler in temperature, it's going to take a few more minutes to bring up the temperature. So we're going to bring that back to a simmer, and then every 10 minutes we're going to just lightly toss it over until the pears are completely poached. So in the meantime, I have 8 ounces of mascarpone cheese. To that, I'm going to add some more of this vanilla bean paste, equivalent of a teaspoon worth of vanilla. We're just going to lightly sweeten that with the vanilla. And then I have just about, I'm going to start with maybe 3 teaspoons of powdered sugar. We don't want this to be super sweet. We just want a sweetness to the cheese. So I have let the cheese sit out for a few hours to get to room temperature, so it makes it nice and easy to mix up. And then what I'm going to do with this is, if you have a piping bag, just fill the piping bag with it and then use it to fill the pears. So let's go ahead and add these also. So once the pears are going, we're going to just take them out after they're finished simmering. And I have some that I have all ready to go. So you can see what they look like. The color is deep red, and then the sauce here kind of gets a little syrupy consistency thanks to the sugar. So what I'm going to do now, for when you get ready to present the pears, you can do them individually or you can do them in a large bowl. But what I like to do is just take one of the pears, put it in the bowl. I'm going to take the sauce. You don't want to overdo it with the sauce. This is like 3 small ladles. You can always come back for more sauce. Here is my, I don't have a piping bag, but I'm using a Ziploc bag, and I just cut the end off of it. So all I'm going to do now is just squirt that filling right down in there. And I'm going to take one of the tops that we saved. And then I have a piece of mint. And then that's really all to it. So, all right, so there you have it. Red wine poached pear, great for the holidays. Thanks so much for joining me here at the Ingles table. Be sure to check out the website for more tips, tricks, and recipes. I'll see you next time.